for the congressional seat, Republican, then 6th District of Maryland, former Secret Service agent that protected the president, Dan Bongino. You know Dan, he's on our show all the time. He's also been a host of our show. Dan, great to have you.
And I loved hosting your show. You got a great audience, by the way, so thanks for letting me do that.
You know what? We're going to have you back in between November the 4th and January when you get sworn in as the new congressman from the 6th District of Maryland. So somewhere in there, we got to have you back on. You'll be Congressman-elect Bongino.
That's right. I love it. How you doing over there? Everything going good? Covering the election? Everything getting hot and heavy on the radio now?
Everything's getting hot. The only thing is, I am predicting your victory. Now, you're coming from behind. Obviously, that's a little bit of a tough district, but tell you what, Dan, you're doing all the right things, and a lot of people that I've talked to that are in your area have said that you're going to pull off the surprise of the night in the country. Why and how?
Well, John, first, I want it on record here on your show that you are the only one, the only radio host, and we do a lot of radio here, that has called for that. But not just now. You're not a Johnny-come-lately here. This is about a year old where you were saying there's something brewing here in our backyard in Virginia. Now I can prove it. He just dumped about six figures, a six-figure or more a negative ad buy on me. The standard war on women, Tea Party, hates puppies and children, all that kind of stuff.
He also said you beat your wife, right?
Right. I was like, when did you stop beating your? Of course, that's standard liberal attack stuff. But John, as someone who's been around politics a long time, you know this very well. If you're up in this race so comfortably, as all the folks in around the country, the liberals are saying, "Oh, don't worry about Maryland 6, he's fine." Then why are you dumping six figures on my head every week now, over and over, after you ran 3 polls according to your FEC records? The answer is because you're losing. You're losing badly. So we're in great shape. I'm honored that you got behind us early, and I think you can take credit as the only guy who called it when no one else was paying attention.
Well, you're definitely surging there. You've got an army of volunteers that you've been able to get excited. You've been saying something, and unlike one of the campaigns in Virginia, I'm not going to go into it where the guy's not saying anything. You've been saying something since day one. Now, look, the bottom line is this. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money your opponent spends. At the end of the day, people have to come out, and you've got a message I think is hitting home. The other thing is there's a GOP trend that I think I'm calling it a tsunami, and you can't measure that.
You can't. Now, I was just listening to you before I came on there. You said 9. I agree. I think it may actually be more. And here's something interesting. I was reading yesterday, the Wall Street Journal actually linked to an article in an op-ed page, linked to an article from the Daily Coast. Now, how often does that happen? Right. One's far left, one's more moderate right. And in the article, the left-leaning writer in the Daily Coast comes out and says, listen, the Democrats are really underselling the catastrophic position they're in. This is a left-leaning writer. He predicted, now this I think is off the deep end a bit, he predicted 18 seats they could lose in the Senate. Now I think that would be, forget a tsunami, that would be just like a meteor destroying the party altogether, the Democratic Party. But he predicted 18. I think it could be, I think 9, you're right, but I think that's actually the floor. I think we could get between 9 and I think 12 is even more realistic. I think there are seats in play that they're trying to McFadden in Minnesota against Al Franken. That seat, don't be surprised on Election Day if you hear someone like Al Franken goes down. And I think the only ones they're comfortable with right now, really comfortable with, are Hawaii, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. But the other ones, even in Virginia, I know I get the politics of it, I understand, but I think even in Virginia, I think that race is in play, and I don't think Warner wants to admit it.
Mark Warner's trying to run out the clock. There's no doubt there, but he's really been helped by a very lackluster Ed Gillespie for Senate campaign. But right now, look, South Dakota's gone, Montana's gone, West Virginia's gone. Republicans are going to win in Alaska, Louisiana, Arkansas. They're going to win Iowa. Scott Brown is going to win New Hampshire. They're surging in Colorado. They're tied in Michigan. They're tied in North Carolina. There's 11 right there if they win all those. Now, the other thing you got to look at in this is there's 2 races that the Democrats have been saying forever that they have a chance to flip, and that's Kentucky and Georgia. That isn't going to happen. There's no way that Georgia is going to elect Michelle Nunn as their U.S. Senator. The state is too red. That isn't going to happen. So you're looking right now, I could see the Republicans picking up 10 or 11 seats. Obviously, if this goes a bit deeper than that, then Virginia comes into play, Minnesota comes into play, and now you're at 12, 13.
Yeah, these are completely turnout-dependent models, John. I have a statistician on my campaign, in addition to a pollster. He in-kinds his services to us, and I've given him various models based on historical turnout, not my opinion. He's a numbers guy, he's not an opinion guy. So plug these numbers into your spreadsheet, tell me what you think. And every other day, I update the models based on new turnout figures. I think in Maryland, I think Larry Hogan running for governor is going to be a huge surprise. I've run a few different models for him, which aren't even outside of the range of statistical, likelihood. Just, common sense models where Larry Hogan wins by 2 points in Maryland. I mean, imagine Maryland how odd would this be, John, you guys being in Virginia, that Maryland would have a Republican governor and you guys would be stuck with Terry McAuliffe. I would feel I love Virginia. I would feel terrible for you guys, but good for Maryland.
It would definitely be an eye-opener. And one of the reasons I knew that you had a shot in this race early on is because remember when we had you come in and be one of the guest hosts of our show, you did it just before Independence Day holiday. Remember that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I loved it.
Not 5 days didn't go by, and all of my affiliates got a certified letter in the mail from your opponent's attorneys asking for equal time.
The crybaby rule, right?
The crybaby rule. When I got that, I said, these guys, if they had this big lead, they wouldn't even be bothering to spend money on lawyers.
Right.
Now, of course, we responded back and said that he was welcome to come in and guest host our show on any day that he thought it would be. Of course, he's not going to do that because it's too much work. But,
right.
The fact that they sent those out there, that was an intimidation tactic. And, we laughed at it.
I had a program manager from another station call me and tell me, he said, Dan, I've been doing this 25 years. He goes, we had no idea what to do. He said, we have never, ever had an equal time complaint. We had to call the lawyer and say, what do we do here? But, yeah, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, they call it the crybaby rule for a reason. The reason is in politics. Listen, there's nothing he did that was illegal. He's perfectly entitled to claim equal time. But
Absolutely.
The reason people running for office don't do it is because it's reciprocal. Because then I can do it to him if he goes on, C-SPAN and does an interview about his campaign, whatever it may be, a liberal network somewhere. I can claim equal time too, and we just generally, people running for office just generally don't. It's frowned upon. You just don't do it, and it really upsets the program managers because people just want to cover a race.
Right.
And the irony is, John, you would, knowing you like I know you, you wouldn't have any problem having a United States congressman from the region you broadcast in on the radio. All he had to do was call.
We asked him to come on. I mean, we said we responded to the lawyers immediately. We said, give us a date. We'll basically give you any date. You pick any day. We'll have you on. And this is what our studio is. This is who our affiliates are. This is who my producer is. And you just have to be sure that you're there by 6 a.m. And we never got any response back.
I don't think he gets up before. Remember, he's worth $250 million. He doesn't have to get up before 6 a.m.
We're with Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent, also author of the book Inside the Bubble. Dan also is a Republican candidate for Congress of the 6th District of Maryland. We've been predicting he's going to pull off one of the biggest upsets of the night on November the 4th, his Maryland district. Just tell our Virginia audience where that district is.
It's western Maryland, Garrett County. That's far western Maryland, the Panhandle, all the way down into northwestern Montgomery County.
You spent a career at the Secret Service. We got another fence jumper. It's kind of weird. What's the deal?
Yeah, interesting that someone chose last night, especially with the Canadian Parliament shooting. Right. I haven't seen any evidence. Just want to be clear if they're related at all, but just kind of interesting they were correlated time-wise. Well, you saw the plan. The plan worked as it had for 50-plus years, since 1965. Didn't make it more than 5 yards past the fence, was taken down by the dog. Unfortunately, this maniac decided to start punching and kicking the dog. Hurricane, the dog's name was, who was injured, which is really a shame. The dog didn't do anything wrong. But that goes to show you that the plan works, and that's why last time I think we spoke about this on your radio show, I was so shocked that the Omar Gonzalez, who had made it into the House, that nothing worked as it should have. The plan worked this time flawlessly. I know they've made some upgrades since then. They built in some additional redundancies. So, I just hope the public can somehow, not forgive so much. I don't expect that, or forget, but just understand that they're going to fix it. The Secret Service always has. I'm not their spokesman, but it's a great agency full of good men and women. They screwed up, and hopefully we don't see that again.
Dan, the Ebola crisis, President Obama refusing to shut down travel between the U.S. and West African nations. Where do you stand on that?
This is ridiculous, John. You really you cattle prodded me with that one, because it's just, how does a virus make it to the United States? How did Thomas Duncan transport it here? In a vehicle, a plane, some vehicle across the ocean, and in a body, which was him. So how do you stop it? You prevent the bodies, the person, from traveling in a vehicle to the United States. This is not a disease that's native to the United States. This is just suicide. What are we? This is insane. This is absolute insanity. Let's have a commercial traffic ban. It doesn't have to be a charter ban. Let's let military flights go in. Let's combat it over there. Let's do everything we can. Absolutely. These are people suffering over there. It is a world problem. There's no question about it. But this is absolute insanity. What's a quarantine? The very definition of a quarantine is restricting the movement of a person with a disease. And we're opening air travel. This is just insane. And you're seeing President Obama slowly come around to this, because the American public is enraged by it. I mean, this is just crazy stuff.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. Now, let's get to the ISIS situation. Many of the Republican congressmen in Virginia, Scott Ridgell, Randy Forbes, Rob Whitman, Chairman Bob Goodlatte, etc., they're saying that to go forward now in Iraq, the president needs to convene Congress and get a formal declaration of war.
Well, I think that would be a good idea. I would not vote for it, though. I don't know what we're doing over there, John. I mean, we defeat ISIS, now you have to deal with Assad again, a tyrannical despot. You defeat Assad, then you're going to have to deal with ISIS, which is looking for some global hegemony here. The point is, there is no side in this. You have bad guys killing bad guys, and when I was a police officer in New York, we had a general rule when two people were fighting on the street, fist fighting, no guns or weapons, but they were really going at it. You never stuck a cop in the middle. You know what, John? After about 30 seconds, they'd get really tired, and even a professional boxer is not going to swing for a minute straight. They'd get tired, and they'd stop, and they'd both get arrested, and they'd usually say, well, we don't want to file a complaint against each other, and they'd go away, problem solved, right? Why are we sticking our men and women in between this Sunni-Shia, Sunni-Sunni, Saudi, Qatar versus Iran battle when there is no good guy? I just, for the life of me, can't understand this. I have no problem with intelligence sharing, vibrant intelligence sharing, joint training exercises, counter-terror, but sticking our men and women and referring to them as boots on the ground. Boots on the ground, there are feet in those boots. These are our kids. Over there for a war that's been going on for centuries is the very definition of insanity. I don't understand what our end game is. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. They can't lay out a long-term strategy.
Do you think we ought to just get out?
Yes, at this point. We should let the Qataris, let the Saudis, the regional partners over there, let the Iraqis, let them figure out where they want to do, what their future's to be. Everything's going to be blamed on us anyway. Even if we were to be victorious over ISIS, it'll only be a matter of months before they blame us for, some fictitious occupation of their country. It's insane.
I tell you what, Dan, we are in such 100% agreement with that. That's why we need you in Congress. I'm running out of time. I want you to give our audience all your information if they want to get involved or if they might want to make a contribution or something. You got a heck of a shot to win this race. Where do they go?
Thanks, John. It's Bongino, Bongino.com. I appreciate it.
Bongino.com. Dan, you got to win this thing, man. Pull it out.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Take care. Right.